Hello and welcome to this special edition of Inside Indiana Business. I'm Gary Dick. Well, we have something special planned for you this week in honor of Women's History Month. I'm going to open the show as usual, but then we'll have female guest hosts for each of our segments, as well as the guests in those segments as well. And we begin with Cummins President and Chief Operating Officer Jennifer Rumsey. She grew up in Columbus, of course, the headquarters for Cummins, one of the world's elite engine manufacturers. She grew up with many engineering role models, including her father, which led her to Purdue to study engineering. After working in Cambridge, Massachusetts, she returned to Cummins, where she has worked her way up the corporate ladder for the past couple of decades. CEO Tom Linebarger says her career has really been instrumental in developing some of the most important products and technologies that Cummins has created. I'm pleased to welcome to the show Jennifer Rumsey. And Jennifer, welcome.
Gary, it's great to be here. Thanks for having me today.
Yeah, and congratulations on the promotion. I mentioned earlier, this is home for you, right? You grew up in Cummins, or in Columbus, in the shadow of Cummins.
I sure did. Yeah, Cummins has really been a part of my life, my entire life. As you said, I grew up in Columbus, around many Cummins employees and engineers, including my own father, and it's really meant a lot to me throughout my life and certainly in my career.
Went to Purdue, of course, one of the world's elite engineering universities, and then you ventured out east, right, to Cambridge and some graduate work at MIT, and your first job is actually at a startup of sorts. Give us the lowdown on that.
Yeah, so my husband and I met at Purdue. We were studying engineering, and I had the opportunity to go to MIT in Boston for graduate school. And he was working out there, and so when I graduated, I was looking for an opportunity for working on technology that would make a difference in the world. And that led me to a company that was working on fuel cell technology more than 20 years ago. So spent a couple of years out there working for a small company trying to make fuel cells a reality at that time.
Yeah, and you wound up back at Cummins. That wasn't necessarily by design. You just, there was the opportunity there and you went for it.
Yeah, I'd say there's really two key drivers that brought me back to Columbus and to Cummins. The first was this motivation to make a positive difference and work on technologies that would have an impact on the environment and on customers. And I enjoyed my time working for a startup company and working on fuel cell technologies, and saw it was many, many years from really impacting the environment and the customer. I'd worked as an intern for Cummins while I was at Purdue, and really had experienced the culture of the company, which resonated with what was important to me, and knew that I would have an opportunity to work on technologies that reduce the environmental impact of diesel engines. So I spent, much of my early career at Cummins doing just that. You
have succeeded in a big way in a male-dominated industry. Talk about the challenges that you faced perhaps early on in advancing in a male-dominated industry.
Yeah, as you said, really engineering by itself, and certainly, working for a large industrial manufacturing company like Cummins, there's not lots of women. I will say Cummins has been very progressive in embracing diversity and recognizing the business value of diversity early. And so I felt, very open, inclusive environment at Cummins, and had a lot of support from mentors and bosses in my career that really allowed me to continue to grow and achieve my potential at Cummins. I have had to get comfortable with the fact that I'm often in settings where there's not necessarily someone that looks like me. I think there were enough other women at Cummins that I saw role models. In fact, my first boss as an intern at Cummins was another female. So I had enough role models and strong male supporters that I really, felt confident in what I was doing, and was able to overcome what at times was bias that existed around me, and situations where there were only other men.
Right. I thought it was interesting. I saw in some of the research that you think it's important for women to see, other women, other role models, if you will, but it's really important that women define their own path as they look at their careers.
Yes, exactly. And as I said, I think, at Cummins, for much of my career, I really didn't consider that I was breaking the glass ceiling, if you will. I think it's been more recently. So I was the first female to become Chief Technical Officer for Cummins, now the first female to become COO, and that's certainly something that I'm really proud of. And I think that is important because you need to see others that look like you, that give you confidence that you too can be in those positions. And so I'm proud to have the opportunity to continue to raise that ceiling.
Yeah, I know you're taking this leadership role in an exciting time for Cummins. Cummins, obviously, an incredibly important company for Indiana. As we kind of wind down here, talk about what you're excited about with all of the technology, the innovation going on in Cummins, at what that can mean in the years ahead.
Yeah, there's some, challenges that our planet faces, and I'm excited to work for a company that's really taking the environmental challenges head on. And we're working to continue to advance the traditional business combustion engines that my business is a part of, and also invest in technologies of the future. So over the last 5 years, we've established a new power business. And more recently, you've seen significant investment in hydrogen and fuel cell technologies. And we really feel like continuing to drive technology advancement across those range of technologies and helping our customers shift to that future state is going to be a key part of the decades ahead for Cummins, and one thing that I'm excited to help lead for the company.
Very good. Jennifer Rumsey, the new president and chief operating officer at Cummins. Jennifer, it's been a real treat to have you on the show. Congratulations again on the new roles, and we look forward to seeing you soon.
Great. Thank you, Gary.